Joe? Joe? Joe, what are you doing?
Yo, check out how long I can hold my breath, dude.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm practicing. Master Rule 5 comes out soon, so I have to be prepared for the return of Bahamut Shark. And can you get the goggles from my room?
Well, Master Rule 5 isn't until April.
Oh. Well, then can you get the toaster from the kitchen?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with the inaugural 2020 episode of 10-Minute Testing. Last year was a whirlwind of excitement for Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. We were introduced to a new card type, a new master rule, and a new alternate format. This year, we're rolling back all of that. Pour one out for Master Rule 4, we hardly knew ye. May a flight of DDD sing thee to thy rest. Well, now that we don't have to bother with that link, Bupkis, let's play a deck with Bahamut Shark. So here's the list, and, feels good to say that again. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by YGOProDeck. YGOProDeck is your one-stop shop for deck building, deck uploading, card searching, and strategy articles, some of which are written by yours truly. I'm proud to represent them, and I encourage any player interested in deck building to check them out at YGOProDeck.com. Now let's talk tuna. For those of you that don't know, sharks are technically an archetype. While there are tons of members, and there is a boring Zexal character that plays them, the two absolute minimums to qualify as an archetype, the playable cards in their associated decks have often been the less chordatic of their clan. Foregoing the Friller Rabkas and Shark Cruisers of the archetype, Fish-type water monsters have long been a reasonable option for duelists itching to Xyz spam. The most exciting of their pre-Eternity Code comrades are White Stingray, Silent Angler, and Xyz Remora, each of which can be conditionally special summoned from the hand, and a few of whom extend far beyond the point of most forgettable Rank 4 suites. While the success of Toad Hero inspired many marine biologists to fiddle with frog setups, and Bahamut bosses, after Master Rule 4's release, these sea dwellers suffered the same cruel demise as the coelacanth. Until now, the Master Rule 2020 revision, along with some new shark support, has breathed new air into the gills of our guys. There are two new pairs of support monsters, Cutter Shark and Lantern Shark, and Right-Hand Shark and Left-Hand Shark, that play very well together. Add to that a tribal monster reborn with upside, White Mirror, and you've got a brew capable of barfing out a bunch of Bahamut Sharks a turn. Because we're deep in the jungle of Rank 4 jank, we're also able to jam Utopia Double like it's 2016, and we're loading up on Lightning in place of a Wincon. Since the deck is neither normal summon reliant, nor unable to play through disruption, and since our Toads and Righties will recycle our freshly killed fish, we might actually force enough negates from our meta opponents to stand a chance in the new decade. If nothing else, it's a fantastic flavor win that the Shark deck is so adept at baiting. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, our fish. 3 Cutter Shark is exactly what the deck was missing, and 3 Lantern Shark, 3 Right-Hand Shark, and 3 Left-Hand Shark aren't terrible either. Next are the returning champions from the reef, 3 Stingray, 3 Angler, and 3 Remora, followed by the babe that keeps the school swimming, 3 Be a Tuneful Princess. Finally, we're on 1 Aqua Spirit as a single-use extender, alongside 3 Ash Blossom. For spells, we're on 3 Instant Fusion, which doubles as hand trap insurance because of Mud Dragon's effect, 3 Called by the Grave, 3 White Mirror, 1 Boomer Reborn, 1 1-for-1, and 1 Double or Nothing. In the extra, we're on Mud Dragon, Utopic Future Dragon, and Utopic Future, the newly released Valiant Shark Lancer, both Utopia, Tornado Dragon, Abyss Dweller, 4 Sharks, 1 101 and 3 Bahamut, and 3 Toad. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Trap Trick Paleozoic. The spiritual successor to Hat, this deck contains all the grindy gameplay of its predecessor, and none of the high win rates. Our hand is fantastic. We should be able to play through multiple negates with this opener. Our opponent's going first, so normal summon a copy of Neff and go into Sarah, setting 2. We'll draw for turn and then Ash, just what we need. We'll lead with an instant fusion to go into Mud Dragon. They'll bottomless it, that's fine. They'll trigger the Sarah, but unfortunately for them, we have an Ash. We'll go for Lantern Shark here, going to Right-Hand Shark and overlaying for Bahamut. We'll activate Bahamut's effect, but really this is just bait for the remaining trap, which turns out to be a Lost Wind. We'll activate White Veil and then get a copy of Right-Hand Shark to hand before special summoning an Angler, going to battle phase, so we're not going to run into any effect Veilers in the main, and attacking, activating Utopia's effect, triggering Double or Nothing, and getting in for lethal. Our second match is up against Deep Sea. Like any respectable Yugist, I refrain from reading whenever possible, and the fact that all the Deep Sea cards aren't yet spoiled is a good enough excuse for me. Unfortunately, I know all too well what decks that contain Neptibus tend to do, and depending on our opponent's build, we might be in for the Battle of the Bahamuts. What's worse, our opponent is going first. Let's see if we can make it to our draw step. They're going to lead with a copy of Minstrel, banishing this Ash Blossom. Fun that this deck gets to do that. They'll use Diva's Effect for a copy of Neptibus, and then Neptibus to send a copy of Goons, who they will activate to get an Abyss Megalo, and then Special Summon triggering both Goons and Sentry. We're down to 3 cards in hand after the Sentry activation, but I still feel pretty good until I see the Glacia. Well, this deck is low investment. Hopefully it can make it happen with 1 card. There's the Omega, but we're going to get 2 of these cards back. The Remora and the Ash will have to do it. After we rip a Be a Tuneful off the top, I think, oh, well, maybe we can. They'll Needle Fiber activation into Desert Locust. I get what you're trying to do, sheesh. We'll use Cutter Shark to get a copy of Lantern Shark before we go into Abyss Dweller. We'll get those Xyz material into the graveyard to trigger the effect of Xyz Remora so we can make a Bahamut Shark and go to battle phase. Now, unfortunately, we can't activate Bahamut Shark until main phase 2 because we don't have enough attack otherwise to beat over the Locust, but I'm still feeling pretty good. We're going to get the right hand back into our hand. Our opponent's going to go into the Mermail Link, and thankfully they give us a target to Toad. Admittedly, Toad was not fantastic there, but hey, I tunneled onto the boy. Can you blame me? They'll clear our board, but I'm feeling pretty good with the Cutter Shark in my grip. They'll activate Omega, and they sniped the Shark. All I need is a free special summon, and thankfully we do find it off the top with Aqua Spirit. You know what comes next. We'll normal summon a copy of Right Hand Shark. They're going to activate the effect of Abyss Glacia, but it's a little bit too late for that. We'll overlay for it a Utopia Double, activate the effect in battle phase to dodge Effect Veiler, and get in. We'll negate our own attack, activate Double or Nothing, and that's lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on Salamangreat, which, unironically, might be a good matchup. They're always going to have a monster in attack position for Utopia Double. Maybe we can chew through the amount of negates they're likely to set up turn 1 and walk away with it. Our opponent's going first for game 1, and they've opened a pretty good grip. They'll lead with Silent Mining, will Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, but unfortunately they have the limited Salamangreat Circle. They're going to get a Gazelle to hand, then activate Gazelle's effect, choosing to normal summon that over the Buffalo. This is a practice salad player, ladies and gentlemen. They'll go into Balinx, activate Balinx's effect, and then use Jack Jaguar's effect to reborn itself at link point, going into Sunlight Wolf and performing a reincarnation summon under the Sanctuary. They'll set 2 and pass it back to me. I draw a Called for turn, and I'll lead with a 1-for-1. We'll go into Be a Tuneful Princess to get a copy of Lantern Shark. We'll use Lantern's effect to special summon an Xyz Remora at link point. We'll activate Called by the Grave in response to the effect of Sunlight Wolf trying to prompt a roar, but I don't feel like they have it after they neglect to activate. They'll negate the effect of our Bahamut Shark, and now the floodgates are open. We're going to Utopia Double. We'll activate his effect in battle phase. We'll go for Utopia. We'll attack. We'll negate our own effect. We'll activate Double or Nothing, and they'll reveal it's just the reset circle. So it's time for game 2, and this game we failed to open any interaction. Well, this singular Called by the Grave is going to have to do it. Our opponent's going to lead with a copy of Pot of Desires. Afterwards, we're going to normal summon a copy of Flame Buffalo into a copy of Balinx. They'll activate Silent Mining, and they are off the races. They'll activate Will, special summon a copy of Gazelle, activate Spinny's effect in Graveyard, overlay for a copy of Mirage Stallion, not at link point. Thank you, Master Rule 5, before going into Sunlight Wolf a couple of times, and setting 4. Are you kidding me? Well, we'll lead with the 1-for-1, and unfortunately that is the wrong hand Shark. We're going to have to waste a Monster Reborn on it to trigger the effect, and then normal summon a White Stingray. I think we have to go for it, even though likely one of those cards is going to be interaction. Unfortunately for us, it is. Well, let's go to game 3. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and yeah, both these hands are terrible. Unfortunately for our opponent, our hand is only bad insofar as it contains too much interaction. We still have our 1-card play starter. Hopefully it will pull us through. We'll lead with a copy of Be a Tuneful Princess to go into a copy of Cutter Shark. We'll activate Cutter Shark's effect. They'll effect Veiler. I called by here. It's questionably a waste. Of course, we can only make 1 Toad this turn regardless, but this ensures that our Toad float will be able to turn on the Angler next turn. For turn, our opponent draws, a copy of Infib. What a rip! We'll activate Totally Awesome in response and take that sucker. Afterwards, we're going to activate the Grave effect of Totally Awesome to put this Lantern back in our hand. They'll Spinny into Balinx into Spinny into Balinx, and then end their turn. Well, that's not very good. We'll lead with a copy of Bahamut Shark. They'll roar, but we have more than enough stuff in our hand to win the game. We'll activate Lantern Shark's effect to get a copy of Silent Angler. We'll go into Bahamut Shark, go to battle phase, attack over our opponent's monster, and in main phase 2, make another Toad. We'll pass it back to our opponent and wish them good luck. They draw a copy of Silent Mining. They'll activate Spinny's effect. We have the Called by the Grave, of course, though I don't know how necessary it was. They have the Silent Mining, but we have the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. That's game. So we're back, and wow. I mean, I don't want to invest too much into that best of 3 since we had a type advantage. Water does beat fire after all, but still, unexpected. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's consistent. What's that noise? Oh my god! Oh, it's the first consistent of 2020! Oh, thank you! I've waited so long to be recognized. 2, it's powerful. Even though Lynx will take a nosedive in play rate, they'll still be around, and any meta where monsters are contractually obligated to remain in attack position is music to Utopia's ears. More importantly, it can set up between 2 and 3 extremely recursive Omni-negates if uninterrupted. And 3, it's forgiving. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the amount of combos I have to memorize for 10-minute testing takes more of a toll on my strength than any US Marine. Sometimes it's nice to turn your brain off and rack in the wins regardless. And the cons. 1, it's extremely telegraphed. Your opponent is going to know exactly what you're up to at every step of the combo. I will now activate the effect of Bahamut Shark. It doesn't exactly come out of nowhere. 2, it feels about 1 playable away from relevant. Lefty and righty Shark are okay, and I'd love to cut them, but despite an ocean of support, there's almost nothing left I'd consider. And 3, as I found when writing this, there are shockingly few Shark puns. This will make anime roleplay at locals difficult. All in all, this is a fantastic entry point into competitive play for Master Rule 5. It's simple, the plays aren't convoluted, and the Rank 4 suite makes it adaptable. The fact that it can compete with meta threats is honestly just icing on the crab cake. So that's that. Thanks to my patrons, Tyler Slacks, Sir Tachyon, Miko Reichman, Crispy, Distrin, Picnic Blasted, Lucas Geardas, Adam Trevino, Second, Fighting Fang Wong, Pro Yugi Dad, Meatmoto27, Burritoman93, Adrian Bra, Adam Sundquist, Isaac Jackson, Donnie Fillerup, Kobe Fisher, and others. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing, and if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time!